Good morning. For any veterans that may be in attendance, we invite you to salute and we salute. All of us stand in a flag. We ask that you place your right hand over your heart and we will salute you in honor of your loved ones. I see we have several young children here. Please make sure you remember when you're playing the rifles. They are very, very loud. If there are any handprints you might want to get off the one.
Good morning. I'm Larry Capetto. I live in Colorado, and Grand Junction, Colorado. And I'm here today on behalf of the family to say thank you to Galen and his service to our country. Thank you for all of you for coming out today. I think this is a great testament to the life that he lived. And I was honored and privileged to interview Galen over 10 years ago in Arizona. He was one of the first World War II veterans that I interviewed. I'm a documentary filmmaker, and I've traveled North America for the last 10 years, and I've interviewed now about 1,000 war veterans that served our country. And, you know, looking out here today, it's very emotional for me because I speak in schools a lot, and I try to instill within our young people about the freedoms that we have in our country and why we're free. And it doesn't take much to come out here or go to Arlington or to the cemetery in France or wherever and see all these headstones and start reading them and realizing why we're free in our country. And I think we lose sight of that as Americans really easily. But today is a great day. You know, we're here to say thank you to Galen for the life that he lived, for the family that he has here, the legacy that he's left, and the honor that I had to talk to him over 10 years ago. In fact, he was one of the first ones, like I said, that I interviewed. My first film was on D-Day. And as most of you probably know, Galen was part of the 29th Infantry Division, 116 Regiment, the 3rd Battalion. He was a medic. He served our country. And when I saw the movie Saving Private Ryan, I don't know if you saw that movie, but the first 15 minutes of that movie, I think Steven Spielberg did a great job of depicting that landing on Omaha Beach. And when I saw that, in 1997, I became fascinated with the mindset of being 18, 19 years old, landing on a beach under enemy fire, and I started role-playing with myself. You know, could I have done that? I guess the irony of my work is I've never served in the military, but for the last 10 years I've been serving my country through the lens of a camera. My father served during the Korean War, and my uncle was in World War II. But I was fascinated with that segment of that film, and I thought, man, what would it have been like? So that began my quest to find World War II veterans who actually landed on that beach, who actually went out of those landing crafts and went down those ramps. And Galen was one of those guys. In fact, when he told me his story, when they landed, the weather was bad, everybody was seasick, everybody used up their vomit bags. It was organized chaos. And when they landed on that beach, he noticed the boat next to him, the ramp went down and it took a direct hit and everybody was killed in that boat. Nobody touched dry ground that morning. There were over 3,500 men killed in the first few hours of that landing on Omaha Beach. So D-Day was my first real quest of learning about World War II and the stories and the sacrifices that were made. And so when I met Galen and Dorothy, it was one of the highlights of the work that I've done, and it still is today, Dorothy. Galen is one of my heroes. Not one veteran that I've ever interviewed has called themselves a hero, but to me they're all heroes. They'll tell me that the heroes are the guys that never came back, and I understand what they're saying. But our young people today are looking for role models and heroes, and I tell them all the time, I found mine in the many veterans that I've interviewed. So I'm proud to say that for 10 of Galen's 88 years I've known him. I saw him last in January of 2012. I made a trip to Arizona, Dorothy, remember? I remember when I got there, Galen wasn't there. He went out to get donuts. So he came back and we had a great visit, and afterwards I took him into his room where he had the Gold Star flag or the Blue Star flag, and we talked for a bit. And I put some of that on a DVD I have for the family today, but that was the last interview I did with Galen. And my heart is full. It's been like this for a while, and this is a bittersweet time for me because these veterans, you know, I'm not ashamed to say I love them. I've interviewed many, many veterans, and Galen is one of the most meaningful interviews I ever did from a story standpoint, and just as a great guy. And I just am so honored to be here today and to thank him for his service and to lay him to rest here at Fort Snelling. And what a beautiful day it is today. I had to come to Minnesota to warm up, by the way. Imagine that. But that's probably about all I want to say. But you know, we take our freedoms for granted. We don't do that on purpose. When I talk to our young people, I challenge them with a thought. I say, you know, we're born in a free country. But do you ever give thought to why you're free? And we can look around here today and see that. And I didn't know Galen apart from his military service too much, but that's the focal point of why I'm here today, and to honor him, to thank him. And I don't know where this is going to go, but I want to give this little pin. I've done this on occasion. This is a little commemorative pin. It says, "Lest they be forgotten." If we don't remember, we're going to forget. My goal is to reminding us of the sacrifices that have been made over the years for the freedoms that we have. And I'm going to make sure this goes with Galen today, Dave, so help me remember. But, you know, how can we thank our veterans enough for what they've done? It hits home today. I'm preaching to the choir here. But, you know, our country as a whole, I think we tend to forget. It's too easy to forget. Every time I get on an airplane, it's an amazing freedom that I have. I've interviewed Holocaust survivors. I don't know if Galen was around at the end of the war in Europe and liberated a concentration camp. But those people know the meaning of freedom. To have lost what they had, to have that taken away, and then to live their lives today. They're wonderful people. And I'm personally grateful for the freedoms that we have. And that's why I'm here today, to honor Galen. He's a wonderful man, was a wonderful man, and I know right now in heaven there's a great reunion of all these warriors that have served our country. And I know we'll see them again soon. So, you want to open this up for family to say anything, or what do you want to do now, Dave? But I thank you for being here today. Does anybody want to say something? Come on up. How are you?
Don't be scared by this. There's a few things that, you know, Dad, words come to mind. Honor, commitment, self-sacrifice, and honesty. And he was born in 1925, and shortly after that, things were kind of tough. There's the Great Depression, Dust Bowl. I don't know anything about any of that. Times were hard. When money came tough, and one of the things that Dad would do, did a lot of shooting, and how he would make his money is he would shoot either gophers or whatever and get a penny of felt or whatever. He'd shoot ducks, pheasants, geese, rabbits, whatever, bring them to the townspeople. If they didn't have a penny, he'd give it to them. Give them food, whatever. If they could afford a penny, take the penny, so he'd have shells. But it was tough back in them days. And then there was World War II, and he tried to get in the Navy. His mother wouldn't sign. So eventually he got into the Army. And it's pretty well documented, you know, D-Day. And he went all the way through the European theater to the end of the war, World War II. And that's been well documented. Thank you. And then he came home, and after a few years, started a family. And one of the things that I remember as a little kid, we got into Cub Scouts. And it was short-lived because at the time I didn't understand it. Because it was like, we went on like one outing, and it was Dad and a couple other guys that took care of the whole tribe. The rest of the guys were in drinking, playing cards, and smoking all night. And Dad, you know, looked at me and says, "We're not doing this anymore. We're going to teach them more on their own. Let's go." Yeah, and at the time I didn't understand it, but after a few years I did. Because he's right. He taught us how to camp, fish. When later on we were able to go hunt, you know, taught us all kinds of other stuff. How to be self-reliant. 1,000 other things he mentioned us on. And it could go on and on about a bunch of different stories. Maybe some other time. But I guess I'd like to thank you all for coming, taking your time out of your day. And he is and will be missed.
Anybody else?
I think he really have anything prepared to say today. Other than the fact that we all love my dad. I want to thank all these people from why you came from across the country. It means a lot to us that you came. We're going to be at the DFW after this, at Richfield, and we're going to have a lunch there, and then they're going to be playing Larry's video. Last thing we forgot. Dad's in that. Several other veterans that were in that. A lot of those videos were taken right at Mom and Dad's house. About half of those guys. Videos were taken at Mom and Dad's house in Arizona. And it's very interesting. I know most of you have never seen it, and it'll probably be the only time you get the opportunity to see it. So we're going to play that there. So you're going to see that. And again, thank you all very much for coming and taking the time.
I also just want to say thank you to everybody. This makes a real help for all of us. Yeah, just listen all the time. Have a lot of wonderful memories. Growing up. Anyway, love you, Mom. You and Dad, the best. With all these great friends. Yeah, thank you.
I'm John Yuki. I'm Marge's brother, Christianson. For the life of me, I thought about members of Consortium families, and it amazes me how somebody can go through that kind of an event in their life and come out of that and be a happy, productive, hardworking, great dad, friend to the rest of the world. I just don't understand that. But Galen was the kind of guy that when you came into the room, he really went out of his way to make you feel special. And he was quick to laugh, which always surprised me because of, you know, a guy like that's got a lot of, I've seen a lot of hardship. And he to joke around and laugh and have fun with his life, and the face of that tells you what kind of a man he was. So I'll miss you, Dad.